So in the past 2 weeks, we've seen the Terra Luna, basically a $55 billion crypto economy that incorporated a programmable or sort of algorithmic stablecoin UST, as well as its sort of sister token Luna, both crashed, wiping out about $56 billion of user funds. It's been a very cataclysmic event for the entire industry, and it's kind of the cherry on top of what is essentially a $1 trillion drawdown. Obviously, the Luna UST debacle was major news the last week or two. I'd like to get your thoughts on it, and maybe just get a little bit behind the scenes and get your perspective of how your token, AVAX, got into the LFG's treasury and sort of what's happened to it since.
Yeah, so the Terra situation is highly regrettable. As you know, Terra started out slightly before we did, and it just blossomed. It just ended up attracting a lot of the money and a lot of the growth in the space that would have gone to either AVAX, maybe Solana, maybe one of the other sort of latest generation high-speed chains. A lot of it started going to Luna. At some point, we were getting choked by Luna's fast growth, Terra's fast growth. Many other chains, seeing this, turned into copycats. So there are many other new chains that are like, oh, we're going to issue our own algorithmic stablecoin. We're going to go do the exact same thing that Luna is doing. We were smart enough to notice that we couldn't do that. Just for there are many reasons why not, but running an algorithmic stablecoin of that kind with those kinds of feedback loops, it takes an enormous team with operational ability to try to keep that peg. And we knew that we did not have that ability. And I can tell you for sure that there are no American teams that actually have the regulatory structure to maintain a peg. From a legal perspective, super risky, it seemed. And I mean, any kind of manipulation of that kind would have been seen as problematic in the US. Unlike the complete fools who are trying to replicate Terra, we weren't exactly complete fools. And we thought, okay, so here is Terra. It's tearing up a big path up there. And so what do? You can ignore it, but they're eating up all of your growth. And then over time we realized, hey, maybe we can partner with them. So what we decided to do was a swap. And so we swapped some of our tokens for some of their tokens. That swap was obviously problematic in the aftermath of what happened. So the Avalanche Foundation lost some money as a result. What does that really mean? So it really means that we ended up getting some tokens from Terra. We ended up getting both Luna and UST, and some of the UST we did not manage to turn into dollars, but quite a lot of it we did. And the Luna, it went to zero essentially. This, in the grand scheme of things, on the balance sheet, this is not a problem for the Avalanche Foundation. The amount of AVAX tokens we gave to Luna was essentially an introductory amount. It was essentially an amount that was a starting point, and it was going to blossom from there. It was going to grow as they grew, but they never got a chance to do that because of the run that they had. And it was
88 million, correct?
It's it depends on the prices. As of today, the amount that they hold is on the order of about 60 million or so. So it's not that much. Even if it were all dumped at once, our daily volumes are somewhere between 1 to 2 billion. So 60 million is nothing. We can just eat it up in a day. But they would never do that. We've spoken to them, and they did not dump the AVAX even at their hour of need. And so it is currently the most valuable thing they hold. So I don't foresee that they would be doing that going forward. And then finally, of course, quite a substantial percentage of that AVAX is actually locked. So they actually can't move it. So we're, it's fine. In general, I think we ended up doing something that did not pay off financially. And if I were to go back and redo things, would I do this differently? I don't really know. I think what we did from a commercial perspective was a reasonable decision. There is this thing, you can see that it has a flaw in it. Every single tweet thread of mine mentions that algorithmic stablecoins have two extremes. They're either pegged or they're depegged and zero. So we knew the risks. And we thought, well, these guys know how to manage it. The team is operationally capable. They have the expertise. They have the background. And this partnership could actually yield quite a bit for us. And I would do it again. We lost some of Ox coins. It's okay. They're in fine hands, and those hands will not let go of those coins for at least some length of time. And so we'll see what happens in the end. But I'm not the least bit concerned. I know there's like all sorts of FUD around this. People are not really numerate, right? And so they don't really understand that 60 out of 1,000 or 2,000 is a pretty small amount in terms of daily volume. So it's just, if I said, hey, of the $100 you trade a day, I have 3 of them, and that would be of the 100 coins you trade a day, I have 3 of them. That's nothing. It's every day. It's 100. So that's the situation right now.
I think one of the first times that you really came to prominence in this industry, and one of the first times, me personally, that I started following your work, surrounded the DAO hack, when you were involved in sort of really identifying and disclosing one of the key vulnerabilities that ended up getting exploited by the hacker. Obviously, that was a watershed moment for the industry as a whole. It led to the creation of Ethereum Classic. It really created an existential crisis for Ethereum at the time, and obviously they've been able to recover. I'm curious if you could put the Terra downfall, how does that compare as far as overall impact on the industry with the DAO hack, for instance?
I think it's right up there. I think it's much more significant than the DAO hack. The DAO hack was a moment of reckoning for Ethereum. It was a moment of reckoning for where they wanted to go. And it was an opportunity for the broader industry to think about what it means for things to be algorithmically guaranteed. And people realized that some things that they thought were algorithmically guaranteed are really guaranteed solely by social consensus. So that was the DAO hack. I would compare the Terra Luna crash to Mt. Gox. I think the Mt. Gox crash was far more significant. It affected more coins, more people. We as an industry ended up learning a valuable lesson about algorithmic stablecoins. And what I fear, though, is that this kind of event just invites in regulators.